Okay, you're live. You want to start?
I thought you wanted to start.
Doesn't matter. We started already.
Good. We start all together. Okay, so welcome to whoever is watching this video who landed on whoever platform or YouTube channel. I don't know who it is. So Tion and I, Ruta, decided to collaborate and make these videos, and probably is going to be a series of videos talking about life, talking about growth, talking about wisdom, talking about alignment, talking about a lot of different topics when it comes to really making the most out of life, making the most out of our existence, making the most out of becoming who we are meant to be on this planet, on this in this journey. And well, before you introduce yourself, I just want to really thank everyone for landing here, because the fact that you have landed in this video means that you are working on yourself and you are becoming the version of you that you know you're meant to be. And that is something to celebrate. So thank you so much. And Tion, I want to hear a little bit about you. Could you introduce yourself, where you're at, because you have an amazing background and an amazing shirt that fits the background. So share a little bit about yourself, what you're up to and who you are, and how do you feel this morning?
Well, thank you for this collaboration. I'm also very excited. And I love what you said. If people have landed here, the way I see it is usually when people cross paths with me, it's either they are in a major life transition or their life is about to change in some significant way and in a deep way. So yes, like there is, I'm sure that this is going to be a powerful conversation, and if someone is watching this, they're ready for it. So my name is Ti0. I was born in India. I live in the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil. The background you see is very real. The proof is that you'll see the sun changing. So it's
It's
early
not
morning.
Zoom trick.
it's, it's not that fake. I well, nowadays maybe with AI you could do it, but yeah, this is pretty real.
So do you have like scorpions and snakes and, I don't know.
Yeah, this is the jungle. So, and I'm just 5 minutes away from some of the most beautiful beaches too. So we have like some of snails, scorpions. Definitely, we have snakes.
Oh my God, that's so scary. Oh, I
I
have a friend
love
who
it.
lives in Mexico, and she sends me messages from like, oh, here we go. There's a snake somewhere in the roof in my bedroom. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I love it. It definitely keeps you alive. Definitely keeps you connected. Like for me, this is like very deep, immersive experience of nature. Um, Anyway, a bit more about me. I work or I teach about consciousness. I help people to develop their consciousness. I've been on this journey for 8 years. I've been apprenticing as a consciousness development teacher. I also worked with ayahuasca for 8 years, uh, helping to facilitate retreats. And yeah, my areas of interest are the unconscious, the shadow, exploring what I call the balance or the union between the divine and the human. And for me, the divine is not something religious. I'm not a religious person, although I respect religion. For me, the divine is that which is imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect, something that is never perfect, but just perfectly imperfect.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I use that phrase a lot in my content and everything that I talk about with my clients also,
Mm.
because we are imperfectly perfect and we are perfectly imperfect. And that's the beauty of being alive, because a lot of people, and I am a recovering perfectionist myself, that
Mm.
I like, even actually the last couple of days I've been working on my website, and it's a never ending story. Like, it's never gonna be perfect. Just chill out, for God's sake. So yeah, I totally resonate with that. So it's a beautiful introduction, and thank you so much.
How about you?
So many things. So well, my background is not as fascinating.
It is interesting too, in a different way.
It's a different way, but I also live in an amazing environment, which is Portugal, and I live literally 5 minutes away from the beach as well, actually. And my journey started back in 2018, so over 5 years ago. I At the time I was in the corporate world, and I was so conditioned to live a very typical life and to climb the career ladder and to be in a romantic relationship with someone that I would marry one day and have kids with, and like all the typical steps. And, even until today, my grandma, who is almost 80 now, she keeps on asking, so like, aren't you getting too old type of situation? And I'm like, can people just chill out and let others live their life the way they want to and the way is aligned with who they really are and what they desire? And maybe it's also about a matter of timing. So anyhow, back in 2018, I basically hit the rock bottom when I was in a wrong relationship, meaning toxic, dysfunctional relationship that was sucking my soul out. We loved each other so much, but we were also very toxic for each other. And I was, in the corporate world that wasn't purposeful. It made me feel like a number. It made me feel like there is no meaning in what I do. And so many different things happened that at some point I thought, okay, I really need to reach out to someone and start working with a coach or with someone who knows, how to help someone who is struggling mentally and internally. And fast forward to today, everything changed in my life, like literally every single thing. Relationships changed, the quality of relationships changed, friendships changed, new people entered my life. Some of the old people naturally faded away. My relationships with family members became deeper. I live in, I used to live in the city. Now I live in the countryside in front of the ocean. I run my own business as a coach, helping people all over the world live happier lives. So I have never done things like ayahuasca retreats. In your case, I've never facilitated group settings face to face at, in a retreat setting, things like that. But I work mainly one-on-one, and I mainly work online. So that's what gives me the opportunity to work with people from everywhere in the world, from the US, from Canada, from the UK, from Germany, France, Singapore, Australia, you name it. And it's been an amazing journey, and I love it. So I think what I already notice as like where we connect on the personal growth, and we connect on helping other people, facilitating, a safe space for people to grow into who they're meant to be. But the difference that I see is that I'm a let's get to the bottom, and let's simplify. What do you really want? And I think a lot of people, what they really want is they just want to feel good. As simple as that. They're sick and tired of suffering, of feeling, like things are not working in their favor, relationships suck, they, I don't know, like they have bad habits, they just don't feel good. And why do they come to you or me or people like us? Because they want to feel better, they want to feel happier, they want to feel more joy, they want to have a peace of mind, they want harmony in life. And that is great. And that is exactly why I celebrated in the very beginning of this video, because it's awesome when people finally take that decision to reach out to someone. It's so freaking powerful, because that changes not only yourself, not only your relationships with people you love, but the world at large. And that's freaking awesome.
Well, wonderful introduction, and several things that you said I connected with, the marriage thing. Like, I come from India. It's the holy land of marriage. Getting the same from my parents.
But probably way earlier. For me, it happened like around early 20s. For you, probably it started when you were 5 or something.
Well, the programming starts before you're born. I think even before you're conceived, like it's decided. Yeah, my children will have children. Like, not even just get married, they will have children. It's like the whole plan is set. Even before they know that they're going to have a child, they know what the child will be doing. So
Oh my God. So how did it shape you? Like, as it was already conditioned before you were even born, how did it make you feel as you were growing up and you felt like, okay, there are some expectations around me? Like, what happened?
just a few days back, I was having a conversation with my family, and there was someone else in my family who was also, we started identifying very similar to me. We were born rebels. We were born to just do the opposite of whatever our parents tell us to do. So that's how it shaped me. They told me, get married, and I went to the complete opposite extreme.
What did you do?
Like this, what I am doing. It's so far from anything any Indian parent would expect their child to do, like going and living in the middle of the jungle, not isolated, but like very, very unconventional. So that resonated a lot. But what called my attention was, this idea of perfection and imperfection. And what you said about living a good life or wanting to be happy. For me, I see the dots connecting there too, because so my name is Ti0. My brand or my school is called the Infinite Zero Experience, which is Ti0 is the Infinite Zero. And the whole idea is that this is an infinite journey. So there is no such thing as perfection. And that is why, for me, what is divine is perfectly imperfect, is because you can never get to the end. There is no such thing. It is an infinite game. You keep playing. And even, setting happiness as the goal is a wonderful goal, but it's not the end. That is what I call ground zero. You said hitting rock bottom, but for me, like, you go from rock bottom to ground zero. Ground zero is what I call a healthy normal. And that is where the game really starts for me. It's like, okay, let's get you there, but that we have just scratched the surface. There's so much more to come. That's where for me, we go from healing to development. We go into like higher states of consciousness, and like that's where the game gets so much more interesting. And again, higher states is not about religion and all of this. There's so much apart from all of that. It's like just to create.
Absolutely. Makes total sense. And also, I think it's not about the goal. Absolutely not. And yet, what draws a lot of people to come to us or to hire somebody, and I can say from my own personal experience, at the time, I just wanted to feel better. But that was kind of the goal at the time.
Yeah.
But then, of course, over time, as you develop, then you realize, oh, you know what? Actually, it's a journey. And it is ups and downs, and it is about imperfection, and it is about embracing the ebbs and flows of life, and it is about like dancing with the environment, with the circumstances, with relationships, with what's going on in the economic situation of yourself, or of the country, of the world as a whole. And what came to me at the time in this journey of personal growth is that, well, yeah, it's not a goal, it's not a destination, it's not some kind of like, oh, now when I get this, then I will be happy, or when I will achieve that, then I will suddenly be, I will earn a good life or feeling good. No, it's actually a choice every single day. It's a decision every single day. And that's the beauty also of, before we even hit the record button, we said we will talk about gratitude. One of the topics will be gratitude. And for me, that is one of the biggest things, even for my own personal life, but also with my clients, is that it's so easy to lose yourself in the process of like even this decision making and choosing the good life, when you're like, oh, but I still want to grow, I still want to achieve something, I'm still, I have ambitions, I want to live a certain way, I want to have that standard in my relationships, I want to get that recognition in my work, or whatever it is. And it's awesome that you have those desires, but the key is to be grateful for everything that you currently already have. Because honestly, again, the fact that you're sitting here, that already means that there are things that you can be grateful for. Be it sun is shining in the jungle, be it my cat is literally behind the door meowing right now and she wants to be in, and I'm grateful for her. Be it, I don't know, the internet connection, the fact that you have a phone or a laptop, those are the things that you can be grateful for already. And we get to forget that and start taking it for granted so freaking fast. It blows my mind. So all of this to say that it's a matter of just recognizing moment by moment and choosing over and over again to be in the journey, rather than like, oh, I have to be somewhere else, and I have to be someone else, and I have to do something else right now.
You know what this brings up for me from my own experience and working with many people who are at high levels of corporate and material success, and from my own journey, is that emptiness, that you have everything but you can't enjoy it. And I used to have this challenge when people would talk about gratitude. I would start feeling it as a compulsion, is that I have to feel gratitude for what I have, but I can't. Like, this was the challenge, that I can't feel gratitude. And what I realized is that there was something actually missing. That was because that was missing, I could not feel gratitude. And one of the things I mentioned in the pre-record to you is, when we started talking about this collaboration, you brought two topics and I brought two topics. So you brought trust and gratitude, and I brought power and compassion. And I was talking about unifying these. And what I spoke about was the way I see the unification of compassion and gratitude is contentment. Like, when you feel content, gratitude is natural. It's a natural state. It's not something you have to feel. It's not something you even need to remind yourself. It's something that is just present inherently. But finding that contentment is a deep process. It's deep healing. And for me, it took me years. But it took me years because I did not even know what was missing. And it was just that process. My journey took long. Nowadays, it's much faster when I'm guiding people, because I know. Because I've gone through the whole process, I know the shortcuts. I know what is missing. I know how people are struggling because I have been there, and so I can help them to connect the dots much faster. So I frame it to people this way, is that gratitude is important. Don't make it a compulsion. Don't make it as something you have to feel. Don't make it a mental practice, or don't make it something that your mind is telling your heart to do. Find what is missing, that is blocking the natural flow of gratitude.
You are touching something so fundamental and so profound, that contentment and happiness and joy and peace and all of the positive emotions, not even emotions, but states of being, they are inherently within us. We realize it or not. And, whenever you feel something else than that, meaning kind of negative, maybe frustration, maybe sadness, maybe unfairness, whatever it is, that just means that there is resistance, like you said. That means that there is some kind of a blockage somewhere. And it's not about doing something about those things necessarily, as much as it is about releasing everything so that it clears out the water, kind of. Otherwise it's just contaminated with the stuff that doesn't belong there, actually. And I think what a lot of people fall into this trap of a never-ending story of a healing journey. It's a never-ending journey to keep on fixing something, keep on like, oh, there's something wrong with me, there's something else to do, there's I need more of gratitude to practice. And as just like you, I can resonate with that so very much, that in the very beginning of my own journey, I spent time every evening to write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. And at the time, I really had a hard time to do it every single evening. And I was like, what else? What else can I be grateful for? Like, okay, bed is something that I'm grateful for. And at some point I realized that, it just became such a mechanical practice that I didn't really feel it anymore. It just became mechanical. And then I thought, okay, there needs to be something different, like to shift it around where it does become just this sense of being, and gratitude is a byproduct of already being content, of already being home, of already feeling like, that's where I'm supposed to be, and that's where I come from. That's who I am. I was born this way, without all the conditions, without, your parents or culture deciding that you were going to be a married man by the time that you're, I don't know, 15 or something like that. It's just like returning back home, basically. And then all of these positive things, like gratitude, for example, just becomes natural.
Yeah, that's, you spoke about blockages, and of course we have tons and tons of blockages. We have tons and tons of things we've taken on from the world, burdens that we are carrying, trying to please people, trying to be accepted, validated, and all of this. At the same time, like, I feel like as much as we are taking on, there is also something missing. And finding that those lost parts of us, like, I see it as disconnection. Like, we have actually lost those parts in our life, and we have to bring them back. So it's not just removing things from you, it's also bringing back those things that we have lost. And that is where the contentment and it's fulfillment. We actually feel full. We actually feel filled. I had severe eating disorders where I could eat without a limit, really. And I would not, the problem is I would not gain weight. So I could keep eating because I had a hypermetabolism. So I could keep eating, but I would not gain weight. And so I never even considered to be an eating disorder because, well, my weight is fine, everything is fine. But I was never content, and I was never full, like literally eating, right? I would never feel full. I could eat a large pizza, and then 2 hours later I would eat a cheeseburger, and then 2 hours later I would be eating something else. It was just like constant. And what I realized one day, because I never thought I have an eating disorder, I was never trying to heal an eating disorder. But one day in my journey, as I was healing other things, I realized my appetite changed completely overnight. Like literally, I healed something, I found some parts of myself, and the next day I started feeling full. I was actually feeling full after eating a very small quantity. So what is happening to me? It was so weird to feel full. And that is what I feel is like, emotional fulfillment is so different, that state of being where you can actually feel full, not just eating food, but just to feel full of life.
This resonates also so much with one thing that you said about like bringing back things that we maybe lost, that we forgot, that we disconnected from, and that for the listener would be interesting to just do a little exercise of what you have been doing maybe in your childhood or where earlier in your life that you really enjoyed, but somehow over the years you lost, you forgot. For example, I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine, Kat, the other day, and she said, you know what, I just realized that I love horses. And I was like, wow, it's something that I never knew about you. And she was like, that's what we humans do sometimes. With all the adulthood, we forget our passions. And I literally forgot how much I really, really love horses. And I didn't think about it for like 15 or 20 years. And that is what happens so much to, in our daily life when we are busy with things and, going to work or running a business or dealing with kids or whatever it is that you're busy with, and we forget who we are. And that's why it's so important to bring that back and remind ourselves of the things that ignite us with passion, with excitement, with something that fulfills us and stuff like that. And by the way, talking about eating disorder, I had exactly the same. I had a binge eating disorder when I was 23 to 26-ish, right after my mom passed away. So when my mom passed away, eating disorder or binge eating was my coping mechanism to grieve, because I didn't allow myself to grieve. I was like, oh, my mom wouldn't want me to see me, sad and grieving and suffering, basically. And so I didn't allow myself to feel the loss. Of course, it was a huge loss. And we were great friends with my mom. So somehow I found myself eating in a way that I was gaining a little bit of weight, not so much. But what I realized is that I was eating. And as I was eating, I was already thinking about what I'm going to eat next. And then what next, and then next. And basically it was this clutter of the mind to distract myself from the loss. So that distraction was food. It wasn't my studies, it wasn't my work, it wasn't the fact that I just moved from Lithuania to Berlin to pursue my master's degree in whatever. And yet I was just keeping my mind busy with food. And only 2 or 3 years later, I realized that just like you, I have lost my sense of feeling full. I was like, I don't even know when I'm full and when I'm not. I don't even know if this tastes good. I don't even know if it's good quality food. Like, it just became this thing that I did just because my mind told me to. And it wasn't even a conscious mind telling me like, oh, you have to eat. No, I was just like grabbing stuff and automatically shoving it down my throat. Like I put it in this language to kind of exaggerate, of course, but I think a lot of people who are going to listen to this conversation, they will realize, oh, I tend to do this other thing just automatically. Maybe it is online shopping. Maybe it is watching Netflix series like one after another. Maybe it is social media consumption. Maybe it is excessively exercising. Like, there are so many different ways to distract ourselves from really connecting with those parts of us that we have lost, that we have to bring back and to fulfill ourselves truly, not from things that are numbing and distracting from the real feelings, from the real you.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just great what you added, because I come from a history of addiction. I used to have a hyper addictive personality, which means I could get addicted to anything very quickly and very extremely. So, like smoking cigarettes, I started my first day smoking 5 cigarettes. In the first week, I was smoking a pack a day. And
Wow.
like it became like 20 to 30 cigarettes every day, 10 joints a day. So it was very extreme. So I had that hyper addictive personality. So I know what addiction looks like. I think one of the biggest issues with the whole, wellness and therapy and all of this whole industry is that people keep trying to control the symptom. People people keep trying to heal the symptoms. They try to heal the eating disorder by controlling how much they eat. They try to heal the addiction by stopping the addiction. And like I said, I literally did not even know I had an eating disorder. I was never treating an eating disorder. I was healing something much deeper. And not only the eating disorder, but many symptoms disappeared when I healed at the deeper level, because this is what a lot of people don't realize, is that the eating disorder, the smoking, the alcohol, the drug, whatever it is one symptom. And when you go down to the root, it it is manifesting in many ways. Control issues, perfectionism, fears, paranoia, shame, guilt, so many things. Addiction, depression, anxiety. So if you just try to heal this one thing, which is a symptom, you will heal the one thing and then you still have 100 problems. You go to the root, you heal the root, and maybe 20 problems disappear at once. And life changes. It's so much, not just faster, but more effective when you work at that level.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is very few people have gone to that level, and very few people can help others at that level because they have not been there themselves. So, that's one of the reasons I reached out to you, is that I just sense that you work at that level, and I want to collaborate creating such content with people who are working at that level who get it. Like you get it.
Exactly. And I think there's a huge amount of misconception in the coaching industry, in personal development industry, exactly for that reason. And like even now recently, I started offering unconventional executive coaching for leaders in the corporate or business owners and people like that, because I noticed that there's a lot of like peak performance coaching and consultancy management, and let's get better results faster and blah blah blah. And I was like, man, that's not how you actually create the life that you want and have a positive impact in the world. That's not how you lead a team in an effective way if you will just keep on forcing and chasing and try to prove yourself to everybody and so on. That's just not the way to go. So like you said, if you want to be a good leader, if you want to exercise well, if you want to reach your goals in your business, if you want to have an amazing connection with your wife or your husband, then you better go deep, because otherwise you will never get out of that vicious cycle. Keep on turning in cycle over and over and over again, and hiring one coach after another, talking to one mentor to another, reading, I don't know, hundreds of self-help books. It's never going to make the fundamental difference at the end of the day. And I will now use the opportunity to also speak about the guide that I just released and published just literally like a week ago, and it's called Your Relationship Guide. And it might come across as some kind of like, oh, it's all only about relationships. No, it's in fact to heal yourself, exactly like Ti0 just said, in order to create absolutely anything that you want, in order to release all the resistance, in order to release all the trauma, all the stuff that is holding you back, so that you don't have all these addictions and needs of external validation, approval, all of these kind of things. So that guide was exactly designed, like we are talking about, to get to the root cause by yourself, basically, to go through a step-by-step process to be like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand why I keep on doing that, why I keep on behaving like this, why I never, achieve, I don't know, what I want, why I never stick with new habits that I set for myself, why I always feel triggered when somebody says XYZ. It's so easy to keep on fixing few things here and there because it's the easy way. Oh, I always did it this way. Oh, it's who I am. No, it's not who you are. Who you are is that deep down, there's guidance telling you, whispering to you that there's a better way. There's a happier way. There's an easier way. Yes, short term, you will need to do a little bit of work. You will need to put in some effort. You will be required to be disciplined around what you're paying attention to and what kind of habits you have, and how you deal with yourself and other people and situations. But long term, it pays so much back. It's crazy good, and you and I know very well how crazy good it can be.
Yes. 3 things came up while you were talking. 2 quick and 1 transition. One thing I heard recently, which I loved, is what has got you here is not what will take you to the next level. It may actually block you from going to the next level.
Mic drop. This is amazing. So freaking true. Oh my God. Love it.
The other thing is, books are very powerful. These kinds of guides, videos, articles, the video we are creating is powerful. All of this is great. But like you said, and like I said, you had a coach when you were at rock bottom. I did an apprenticeship for 8 years. You can't do this yourself. That is a myth. This whole self-help, do-it-yourself industry, in my opinion, is a complete myth. You can get a lot of theory, but at some point, you cannot see yourself. You cannot go deeper without someone helping you. They're not doing the work for you. They're helping you because you cannot see yourself objectively. Someone from the outside can see you. Someone who has experience, someone who's gone through the journey can see you. And that is vital. And it's you can be skeptical about it. That's fine. You can struggle. You can go on your own as many years as you like. Doesn't really affect my life. Suffer as much as you want. Someday, whenever you're done suffering, remember, just remember that you can find someone.
And it's so true. And I think it's a matter of finding the balance. It's a matter of finding, like, we go through a journey. So sometimes, even in my own case, sometimes I worked with coaches or mentors very intensely, very heavily, for like 6 months, and like boom, 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 boom. And then there was, I don't know, another 3 months or 6 months that I didn't hire anyone and I didn't work with anyone. And it was more like an integration process. It was more of a process of self-learning and study and application and embodiment. And even like the what I designed with your relationship guide is also exactly that. It's a step-by-step process to be like, oh, actually I can apply these steps to inquire myself. I don't have somebody inquire me. I can also go through this system that will help me to have a conversation with myself. And then I would go back to working with somebody again, and then I would find somebody to have conversations with. So I think yes, I also agree that we just can't see what we can't see. It's just impossible. But sometimes it's okay to also be like, actually, I have the tools that I need. I have the techniques that I need. And now I can do it by myself until I hit the wall or a ceiling. And I feel like I have this inspiration and it feels right to work with someone, to hire someone, to go to a retreat, to do something to facilitate growth even better.
The way I see it is that all the self-help stuff becomes much more powerful after you work with someone. Then
Mm,
it has the most
yeah.
value. It's a
Yes.
very good tool after. It can help before also to some degree, but after in the application, it's very powerful.
Yes. Absolutely. 100% agree. Okay. And you said you wanted to transition.
I felt like, from what you were talking, it felt like a perfect transition to the uh, power and trust topic.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the bridge or the unification of compassion and gratitude for me was contentment. For me, power and trust unites in faith. And this is a bizarre thing for me to say because I have been anti-religion my whole life until a certain point where I started realizing the purpose of religion and started respecting people's religious beliefs. For me, faith is something completely separate from religion. And it sounds weird, but for me, faith is my superpower because for me, faith is about power and trust coming together in ourselves, not in something outside, not in believing something, but in feeling that within yourself and connecting with that within yourself. And for me, I started the conversation with the unification of power and compassion because I feel like people see these two as opposites, but or they see them as balancing forces. Or maybe I'm too compassionate, I need to be more assertive, or I'm too much in the authoritarian power, I need more compassion. I feel like they're not just balancing forces, they actually, at the highest level, they become one force. And it looks very different. It's compassionate power is very different from just power and compassion balancing each other. And I see also like these four uniting into one thing, like trust, gratitude, power, compassion is like a complete unified force. And I will talk a bit about like the latest training that I offered because it's very much in sync with what you are talking about, what I'm talking about, what we are talking about. I call this training amplify your impact. And I came up with this training because I felt that I want to amplify my impact. And the most powerful way I found of doing that is to work with people who are already having an impact and to help them to have a deeper impact. And I feel that the deepest way to create an impact is to bridge these forces, to unify these forces. Is when we can go out of these polarities and find the integrated version within ourselves where everything comes together, where everything is one. Like that for me is the most impactful place to live from. So that is what I help people to do is like bring together all these disconnected parts, all these forces which are polarized, and help them to make it into one.
Mm,
And what you're talking about, leaders, like for me, this is again, coming back to that, like leaders have a very fixed idea of power. The problem is a lot of people get leadership training, they get management training, but almost no one is taught how to work with power directly, like just to handle or hold raw power, just to hold raw compassion is unknown for most people. like, what does it just feel to hold power, to feel power? It's for most people are like, well, I'm a leader, but I don't know what power is really.
But here's the thing, that's so powerful that it's so powerful that we're talking about power, because it's so exciting to me, because the thing is what you just said about superpower, the distinction that I see and the mistake that most organizations and management teams and individuals in executive suite and so on and so on, the distinction is that they externalize that power.
Mhm.
Instead of looking inside, like, okay, who am I and how can I connect with my inner power? How can I align with who I really am? How can I find the self-worthiness, the unshakable confidence, the high self-esteem? How can I not need anything from the external world and feel so firm and stand tall and be like this, I am the power,
Mhm.
because I'm connected, because I am that superpower. And yet, in the world we live in, the leaders that we see out there, what do? They externalize everything. They want everything. They want for themselves. They want the power. They want the hierarchy. They want to, lead other people by either micromanaging or whatever it is. I have experienced it myself in the corporate world as a project manager. My manager was micromanaging me like hell. And I was like, you clearly are coming from a very disconnected place. Like, if you want to micromanage someone, that means that there is something lacking within you. And it's just such a obvious and yet not obvious mistake that so many make, because unfortunately we live in the world where the conversations we're having right now, not many still, like proportionally, not
Mhm.
many people are aware of this. And
Mhm.
it's such a pity, because if more people, if more organizations, if the society as a whole would have this as a base, you know what? If you take care of your own side of the street, if you connect with your own superpower, not from a place of lack, from scarcity, from hurt, from pain, from suffering, from trauma, but from a place of, I know who I am, I'm freaking awesome, I'm imperfectly perfect, I accept myself the way I am, and I know that I have so much to give, the world would be such a different place. Holy smokes.
Couple of things that come up for me while you're talking is I feel like people, leaders especially, they get their first experience of power being in a specific role or being in a specific identity, and the power gets attached to that identity. And so they become very protective of that identity, and they also feel powerless without that. So if they get fired or something happens to make them lose their job, or they have to retire or something, that is where, like the whole power is attached to this role, this identity. And it's that externalization you're talking about, that separation, the power belongs to something that is not them. And of course, it is them. If they have that role, they have that identity, it is because there is something in them that can have that. And it is about helping people to bridge that. I feel like what we help people to do is to bridge this gap between this externalized power and realizing that within them that could hold that power, that has that power, and to make that one and to see, yes, that is also me.
Brilliant. So let's keep it at this. It's been an amazing conversation, and I also think it makes sense to keep these conversations shorter rather than longer. So for the listeners, whoever is going to watch it, it's going to be kind of digestible length. But I tremendously enjoyed having this conversation with you, Ti0. So what I personally take away from this is that at the end of the day, it's a matter of reconnecting with the power within us. Just like you said, the superpower that we have we all have access to that superpower. And whether that has to do with your leadership skills, whether that has to do with your relationships in your private life, whether that has to do with feeling good in your own skin, healthy habits, addictions, whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, the core is about reconnecting with the superpower that you already have within. That's what I take away from this conversation. What do you take away from the conversation?
Just what came up for me right now while you were talking is your business or your website, your brand is called Redefining Success. And what I want to leave people with is redefining faith, redefining power, redefining trust, gratitude, contentment, everything is compassion, everything we've spoken about. It's like, what does this mean to you? Not just what people have told you what it means. What does it mean to you? After listening to all this, how can you redefine it for yourself?
Beautiful. That's such a beautiful way to wrap it up. Thank
Yes.
you so much, dear. It was such a lovely conversation. Thank you, the listener, whoever is watching this. Hope you enjoyed it. And well, we see each other very soon. And I guess we will do it every week.
Okay. We'll continue this, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.